This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, May 7th from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson, and welcome to the HomeTech Podcast all about home automation and home automation news this week. Some crazy stuff has gone on. So we have a bunch of HomeTech headlines this week, and then so a couple actually product launches, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool to see that happening again. Bunch of other stuff. But at first, of course, on the top of the show, I want to remind everyone we're doing our HomeTech Talks. We've had a bunch of them over the past couple weeks, and I'm guilty of not actually posting them on our Patreon feed, and that's really on my bad. I've got 3 of them to post up, so patrons, please be patient when you get a bunch of emails saying that these are all going to post. It's all going to happen shortly. Right after the show here, I'm probably going to go in and post them up, make sure everything has started to be posted. We've got the dashboards discussion from way back in mid-April, RGB lighting, which we talked quite a bit about who's using RGB lighting and what are you using it for. Everybody's a little confused on that. And then the last one, we was starting a home automation business, which was actually a really good conversation about forcing one of our members to quit his job and start a business. So if you want to check those out, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support, learn how you can support the show. That'll bring you to the Patreon page. And all of those videos will be posted there for patrons only. So if you're a patron of the show at any level, $1, $5 a month, doesn't matter. You'll have access to all of those videos. And it goes way back. We've got, let's see, how many of these have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this week it looks like we're going to talk about whole house, what do we call this? Whole home audio, I think is what I settled on. And I still wrote it wrong on the description. So it's either whole house audio or whole home audio. And basically, I guess we're going to talk about what everybody is using for Sonos these days, because that's pretty much all I'm a Sonos house here, and I'm curious to what everyone else is doing. But let's go ahead and jump into the show this week and jump into some home tech headlines. Big news today. SnapAV has agreed to acquire Access Networks. In a blog post over on their website, SnapAV announced the acquisition and of the network solutions provider for professional installers in the CEDIA channel. Access Networks is probably best known for their networking system design services that dealers leverage to install enterprise-grade networking products into larger homes and commercial properties. Bigger homes that I've worked in have almost always had some type of Ruckus or Access Network developed or designed system in them. These guys were and are, I guess, at the peak of their game when it comes to installing these types of systems and getting these types of enterprise-grade networking gear into dealers' hands who may not be enterprise-grade experts at these types of systems. So, pretty interesting acquisition here. SnapAV says Access Network products will coexist alongside Arachnus and PackEdge, and that in time, Access Networks products, really hard to say, will be integrated with the Oversea ecosystem. Kind of cool there. Access Networks products should be available on the SnapAV online portals and through their local portals, basically the local stores, in the near future. So SnapAV is still being really aggressive with mergers and acquisitions, and they've certainly got a lot of VC money that they can throw around to do this. And I wonder if it's one of those things where, like, yeah, we've got money sitting here, we got to buy something. So let's go after Access Networks. It seems like this one I'm scratching my head on. I really am, honestly. I'm trying to figure out what to say about this one because I'm not sure why Access Networks was purchased. Because it's not like SnapAV, like, they've got some really smart people working over there on Arachnus. So why do they need? I don't think they need people to come in and tell them how to design a network. So it's really strange. It's really strange. I'm not too sure about this one. The flip side of the coin of this, I'm beginning to start to wonder about all the damage that's going to be done from all these consolidations and to our industry over time. And it's, don't get me wrong, I like SnapAV. I think they've been a great provider to the CI industry over the years, and certainly a good company. But what does this place start to look like when everybody has access to the same products and they all sell the same thing, all sold from the same place? It's kind of like, did we learn nothing from Walmart and Amazon? Because it's heading this way. In full disclosure, I do work for Blackwire, I'm going to put in quotes, competitor. You can't see the quotes today, but I'm putting up quotes. To both maybe SnapAV and Access Networks to some extent. We do sell Ruckus, which is one of the main lines that Access Networks was selling. They actually would take Ruckus and they've rebranded it for Access Networks. And they definitely, as Greg is pointing out, Access provided a service, not a product. So it's kind of the point. That's a good point. They really do provide a great design service for the industry, and it's interesting to see where these guys are going to do. On the FAQ that I saw, it didn't say that everybody at SnapAV, every customer, was going to have access to that service. So you'd still need to be an Access Network dealer to access that service. I'm not sure. I'm still scratching my head on this. Honestly, I'm not sure what this actually brings to SnapAV. It can't be the talent, because they already had the talent. I'm just not sure. Really, I'm kind of scratching my head. Greg is saying Arachnus Pro. I guess, but did they need that? I don't know. They've got 2 networking brands now, and man, if I'm working at Pack Edge, I've got to be like hiding under my desk when the bosses walk by. Jeez, that company. If anybody is actually still working on Pack Edge, it's SnapAV. All right, next up. Vox International Corporation, a manufacturer and distributor of automotive and consumer technologies for the global markets, has signed a letter of intent to acquire the home AV business of Onkyo. And Sharp Corporation will act as the partner in the business venture. As it stands, Vox and Sharp would acquire Integra, Pioneer, Pioneer Elite, and Onkyo USA brands from the parent company Onkyo Home Entertainment. And according to the press release, all the companies involved have a strong working relationship and are moving towards reaching a definitive agreement on May 20th, 2021. If the agreement is reached, it will be presented over to Onkyo shareholders at the ordinary general meeting of shareholders scheduled on June 25th, 2021. So a little bit to go on that. A couple more months to see what happens on that as we head towards the end of June. But looks like from everything that the press release was saying, it seems like these companies are just marching along, and Onkyo will be sold off. These brands, it's actually not just Onkyo. Like I said, it was Integra, Pioneer, Pioneer Elite, and Onkyo. Those will all be under this Vox company with Sharp managing everything. So will be interesting to see what comes of that in the future. Oh man, this one is very interesting. Vivint Home has agreed to pay the largest fine ever levied, stemming from a FTC Fair Credit Reporting Act violation. The number 2 company of the CE Pro Top 100 will pay $20 million to settle white paging complaint that it allegedly misused credit card information to reportedly help unqualified customers obtain financing for their smart home systems and security systems. Under the settlement, Vivint will pay $15 million in civil penalties and an additional $5 million to compensate injured consumers. The complaint said that Vivint improperly obtained credit reports in order to qualify potential customers for financing for its smart home monitoring and security products. So this white paging that they're talking about, that they're alleging that they did, it said it's kind of this some not all, but some of the Vivint sales representative used a process known as white paging, which involved finding another consumer with the same or similar name in the white pages and using that consumer's credit history to qualify a prospective unqualified customer. This is just shady as all get out. I can't believe this is something that is even possible in the year 2021 or 2020, but here we are. Quote from the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, Dan Kaufman: Vivint sales staff stole people's personal information to approve others for loans, for misusing consumer credit reports and other sensitive data and harming people's credit. This company will pay $20 million. Just crazy. I think $20 million is probably a drop in the bucket for them, but wow, that's just not cool. It's kind of disgusting when I see stuff like that happen in my industry. That's the kind of thing that you would expect to happen over like shady mortgage companies and that kind of thing. I don't know. This just gross. It's kind of the gross side of the alarm system, the alarm business that I never liked. never liked dealing with, like the part where you were just out to get contracts so you could sell them off to a bank or something one day. It's gross. If you want to do something well by your customers, you treat them right and treat them with respect, and don't look at them as a dollar on, an asset on your dollar sheet. And that's something I never liked about the security industry in general. And that's how the whole industry is actually set up these days. So anyway, moving on. I'll get off my soapbox there. All right. Roku has made good on its threat to remove YouTube TV from its channel store amid a contract dispute with Google. And following up a little bit from some of the news we talked about last week, Roku said it would yank the app unless Google backtracked on alleged demands for YouTube to get priority placement in search results and have results from other providers like music streaming services blocked while the app is in use. Roku also claimed that Google wanted the company to use certain memory cards and chipsets on this device that would push up the price of the hardware. And speculation is there that maybe it would make Roku a little bit less competitive against Chromecast. So the contract ended. The original contract ended. Google YouTube TV is out of the Roku store. Existing customers still have access to the app as long as they don't delete it. So if you have Roku with YouTube TV still installed on it, don't delete it. You may want to watch TV on there. And this doesn't impact the main YouTube app that everybody's familiar with, just the YouTube TV app. But it does suck that everyone's missing and not able to get that installed onto their Roku devices these days. It would be nice if these companies can resolve this dispute. It goes back and forth, left and right. I don't know. Hopefully they'll be able to work this out and move forward. All right, ISE, due to citywide COVID-19 regulations in Amsterdam and Munich, ISE Europe, I guess it's Integrated Systems Europe, has decided to cancel events in these locations for 2021. Mike Blackman, ISE's general director, says, while these events have gotten plenty of support from integrators, the new regulations make hosting an in-person event nearly impossible. And while the two planned in-person events are no longer an option, the ISE team plans to go ahead with hosting virtual events, including daily thought leadership and market intelligence sessions curated by TNW, Vixa, Cedia, and ISE partners, along with insights on digital signage, live events, and audio, workspace evolution, digital learning, smart building, and XR in today's reality. Which brings the question, what the heck is XR? I've never heard of that. I didn't bother looking it up, but it's kind of a weird thing to put in there. I really wish these event companies would lean into the virtual a little bit more. Cedia and CES were not great examples of what could be done with that, modern technology, with remote learning and all that good stuff. And I would really like to see these event companies put some little bit more effort into it, and just kind of right now they're just kind of like, well, we'll just hold off until when stuff comes back, without realizing that a lot of people may not want the stuff to come back. I really have to think about how big these shows are, how small these shows are going to be in the future, compared to where they were in the past. This pandemic is surely ending soon, hopefully, rather than later. We have our vaccines rolling out here in the States. It's a little bit harder over in other countries to get them, but as soon as everybody can get on the vaccine bandwagon, we start getting these numbers down, borders may open up and may be able to easier to travel around the world, and that may open up some of these shows. But then again, will it? The question is still, will it? We took a straw poll at our office, and none of us want to go to Cedia this year, so we're gonna punt on it again. Not that I guess we did punt on it last year, the virtual event, but I really think if you look at something like what Apple has done for keynotes, Frame.io, it's kind of not a company that we talk about in this space very much, but it's really taken off in the filming space, and like commercial shoots and that kind of thing, where they can remotely manage all the video and bring in video and audio into one centrally managed systems. And you could have the director in a completely different, venue or area, anywhere in the world, and instantly start seeing the dailies come in and picking and choosing what scenes they want to send off to the editors. The editors can see what the director, it's just a completely different mindset. When in the past you'd have like a lot of these people on site, now you can have the best talent in the world, wherever they are in the world, and bring them into one spot. And I really think that we're missing out on stuff like that when it comes to these shows that insist that we have live events. So again, on the soapbox, I'll get off of it this time. We'll move on. So, all right. Clair Controls has launched ClearVision, a new line of high-value surveillance cameras and NVRs that support standalone deployment or integration with ClearOne systems. The line's 2 app-controlled ETL-listed series cameras, both NDAA and ONVIF compliant, meaning they hook up to quite a bit. Additionally, these products will allow SnapAV Pros to compete in the value price security segment. I was seeing that some of these cameras cost below $100. They feature edge-based storage, so the systems can be deployed without NVRs. I really think that's a cool setup that I haven't seen very many camera manufacturers taking advantage of, and I hope to see this maybe in the future where you have like 3 or 4 cameras you need to install. You can install them with these edge systems, and it's a piece of memory card that you can stick in the camera, and then that memory card may deploy video or events when an event happens or it detects that video needs to be sent up to a centralized cloud system. It can send that video up there. And you can have an NVR up in the cloud. It does require that you have an internet connection to see that kind of things, but that's fairly common these days. And in most cases, if you need to look at them locally, you can still go in and run like a computer or an app locally. And I'm not sure about this system here, but I'm just talking in general. You could see the system with the app locally. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds without having to have this clunky NVR hanging off systems. And I'm just curious. I'm curious why that hasn't really taken off. Maybe the software is just not there, or maybe the cameras aren't there, or maybe since Hikvision came around, we're all racing towards the bottom when it comes to cameras and camera pricing. So it says here larger systems can be deployed with an NVR for up to 32 cameras, and all ClearVision products offer integration with ClearOne Control4 systems, compatibility with Luma cameras and NVRs. They support ONVIF and Hikvision protocols and add-ons for takeovers. So kind of cool that they put all that together for like a complete ecosystem. Another kind of like disclaimer here. I used to work for Clair, like way back, maybe over 10 years ago. Geez, it's been a long time. But we were not the ClearVision the Clair controls they were today. We were very much a startup, and only a handful of employees, handful of developers, and it was a really interesting and fun job to have. And I got to see quite a bit, travel quite a bit, and go on the road, talk to dealers. It's a lot of fun. So. Interesting company. I'm glad to see that they're continuing improving their product and moving along. All right, one more product. Luxon has debuted a new Intercom doorbell with HD camera, hidden speaker, protected microphone, and built-in proximity sensor that lights up an interactive door button when you get close. Luxon says the device doesn't require a cloud connection, so all event data and visitor history is stored locally on an internal memory card. And if calls required between the Intercom and Luxon app, full end-to-end encryption is used. So they're really going for that privacy angle here. It's a cool looking product. Looking at it right now, it's got it's very European in design, of course, made in Germany. All glass front panel there. Doesn't look like anything we have in the States, but if you're going for that look, man, this is the product to get. It's kind of squared. It also has an NFC keypad that can be added onto the bottom. Doesn't mount in the back box, so it can be retrofitted fairly easily. I suppose I didn't quite see. I saw that you could get a PoE. You can power it PoE, and maybe it does have a standard like 2-wire connection on it. I'm not sure. I didn't look that up, but I know you can power it PoE, and you can mount it without a back box, which is kind of nice for installs. So interesting product from Luxon, and they keep rolling out some really nice looking stuff. Not too much penetration here in the States. I know they're more popular overseas. Where they compete a lot with KNX systems. So good on them. Glad to see them continuing improving their product. Let's see, take a look here. I think that's it. All right, all the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our... There we go. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes at HomeTech.fm/350. Wow, 350. Don't forget, you can join us live in the chat room like Greg and Greg. and Greg. How many Gregs do we have in the chat room tonight? Jeez Louise. Live Wednesday, starting sometime between 7 and 7:30 p.m. Eastern, a little bit later tonight. You can find out more about that over at HomeTech.fm/live. All right. Got a pick of the week this week. Hey, Greg, and Gavin. There we go. Welcome. It's all G's all the way down. All right. Pick of the week this week. This is one of my favorites. I ran across this on Reddit the other day. It's go ahead and describe the scene, as you will. This guy's walking in. He's got his son next to him, hand on his shoulder. He's looking proudly into this room it's got a bookshelf and a table covered and a bunch of boxes on the floor, just full, and the table, every square inch of this room is covered with wall warts, those things you plug in. And at the bottom, here's the caption. He said, "One day, son, all of these perfectly good AC adapters, which have long outlived the products they were originally designed for, will be yours." And yeah, that's me. I feel seen. I'm saving a box of them over there for my daughter, so she can take those and, I don't know, sell them and go to college. I have no idea what I'm going to use them for, but I saw this and felt a little called out there. I'm not sure. But yeah, good pick of the week. I like it. Good comic there. All right. If you have any feedback, comments, picks of the week, or any great ideas for the show or Home Tech Talks, give us a shout. Email address is feedback@hometech.fm, or you can visit hometech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. I want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about our Patreon page, head on over to hometech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. And any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show. But every pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day. What did we talk about today? Oh, we talked about a lot about Arachnus, right? We talked about all the things that have gone on with that acquisition. I think if you go in there, and you might find out if TJ has quit his job yet. That's the big news, right? Well, that's going to make a Home Tech headline when we get there. So that's part of our Home Tech Talks. And if you're on the in crowd, you'll know what that means. All right. And this week, let's see, if you want to help out the show but can't support the show financially, totally understand. Appreciate a 5-star review in iTunes or positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. And with that wraps up another week in home technology news. Well, quite a bit this week. I kind of started off slow, but that acquisition today threw us at work for a loop. Being both Access Networks and Snap AV, we kind of had to put feelers out. We got wind of it fairly early on in the morning, and it was kind of a shocker. So kind of interesting to see happen, I guess. But yeah, there we go. They have acquired another competitor of ours, and we'll see what happens. But it made for a long work day, I suppose, and that's why I am recording a podcast at 10 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. So with that said, thanks everybody. Thanks for the 3Gs over there in the in the chat room for joining us tonight live, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.